So I think we are all set. I would like to welcome you to our fourth Cafe Scientifique. Welcome to all our distinguished guests today. I will start with the Provost and Chief Academic Director of BSBI, Dr. Kouveliotis Kyriakos.
Thank you, Anastasia. Just a warm welcome to all of you today. And I'm very happy to welcome you to our Cafe Scientifique series. Many thanks to Anastasia for developing this event as well. And I have to mention that we're also very current in our position because, as you know, we had this situation in the Suez Canal, and it comes perfectly on time to also discuss some other implications. As you probably know, we also run an MBA in Maritime and Shipping, which is also very current and very interesting for our students. So welcome to all of you again. Many thanks for your participation. BSBI is open to all of you for other suggestions or ideas that you want to contribute. And again, many thanks to Anastasia for her brilliant work.
Many thanks to all of you who joined us today. To all who I will name you one by one. I will start with Mr. Catalin Radu, who is the Deputy Director of the Air Navigation Bureau in charge of aviation safety. Welcome, Catalin.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to be with all of you, and I'm looking forward for this meeting today.
Welcome. Mr. André Scheider is the CEO of Geneva Airport. André, hello, are you there?
Hello, I'm here and I'm pleased to be with you.
Welcome. I will continue with Thanassis Karlis, who is the Strategic Planning and Marketing Officer at Piraeus Port Authority, one of the 4 biggest ports in Europe that is situated in Athens, Greece. Hello, Thanassis.
Hello to everyone. Nice to be with you.
I will continue with Ganesh, an expert with extensive experience in logistics, supply chain, and transportation, having served for more than 17 years as board member of the famous DP World. Hello, Ganesh. Welcome.
Thanks, Anna. Look forward to it.
Long time no see.
Indeed.
I would like also to welcome Mr. Dennis Juul Pedersen, the CEO at Port of Esbjerg in Denmark. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, and thank you for having me here today.
Also is with us today Mr. Ian Edbertsen, the Manager Innovation of Ports of Amsterdam. Hello, Ian. Ian? Hello, Ian, do you hear us? Maybe a short glitch. And I will conclude with Mr. Dimitrios Dalaklis, Dr. Dimitrios Dalaklis, who is Associate Professor focused in Safety and Security at the prestigious World Maritime University. Hello, Dimitri, are you there?
Greetings to all. Nice meeting you. Thanassis, special regards, since it was quite some time since we interacted, and looking forward to participating in this.
Hi, Dimitrios. Nice to see you.
So welcome also all our BSBI students. I hope you enjoy our today's topic, that is the model of airports and ports as smart hubs of the future. Now, we have all heard about green economy and how to have this input, the right input, how the sectors will cooperate with each other to create this circular economy, emphasizing in green growth. We have heard dispersed words and initiatives, especially in the European Union. So now, let's elaborate a little. What are your thoughts in general? What can be combined in the future? Ground, underground, with aerial means, individual, mass, as well as autonomous transportation, as well as what is required also from the design level. We know how artificial intelligence is used nowadays, and the overall digitalization in transportation. But this also poses some other challenges with regards to security and cybersecurity. Finally, we will examine what can be achieved in sustainability parameters. So we hear about new fuels, hydrogen, decarbonization, very challenging initiative, decarbonization by the year 2050, new markets, new services, and this overall user experience upgrade. Let me start with Catalin. Catalin, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, and very good morning from here, from the cold Montreal. ICAO, I'm working for ICAO. I'm in charge with safety. And of course, as you mentioned, safety is one important component that needs to lead all modes of transport. When we are looking at our passenger or looking at the infrastructure that we are trying to travel on. So practically in ICAO is the International Civil Aviation Organization, and we are a UN agency specialized in aviation. And we are putting in place and working with 193 member states to design and to try to help implement standard and recommended practices for aviation environment. So practically what we are doing, we are working with experts from all these states, define and design standards, and it's for each and every state that signed the Chicago Convention, our Bible, if I can say, to implement this at the national level. Of course, that we are working not only in aviation, and we have a lot of partners. For example, with the IMO, International Maritime Organization, and all the other partners in the multimodal world. For example, the last initiative that we've had addressing multimodality was a few weeks ago. We've done some work in the transportation of vaccine with our colleagues from World Customs Organization. To ensure that we have enough resources and all supply chain it's able to deal with the cold chain, as we call it, for the transportation of vaccine. So practically we are trying to sensitize at the governmental level the states all over the world, working together with the industry as well, to make sure that we have all the things in front of us and all the means to go further and to work all together, because right now we have these challenges for COVID, but in the normal times we used to have a lot of new developments. We have challenges in terms of governments, because any government should carefully plan for the desired capacity. They should build the infrastructure, finance and build their infrastructure, and of course to coordinate with all the players from the multimodal world and the stakeholders in this. In the same time, as you said, the important thing is to maintain the focus on environment and to make sure that you build a green future. There are plans, and I think there are more than 100 million euros at the European level allocated to finance green ports and green airports. So practically there is a continuous look and focus on how we can integrate the multimodal services. We should keep in mind also the new players, the disruptors, as we call it. Autonomous vehicles, we have ride-sharing apps, we have AI planning, artificial intelligence use. Also, more and more cities are becoming smart cities. Internet of Things will connect everything. So practically, there are challenges in front of us that are way beyond the normal operation for an airport and a port. We're starting a long time ago to interoperate, because it's by nature. As an airport, or as a port, you have naturally monopole, especially for the ports, and you are trying to put together all the mode of transport that will facilitate the transport of, and for the airport, the transport of passengers. Of course, we have our cargo stream. 1/3 of the value of the goods transported in the world not on the volume, but the value is transported by air. And in the same time, we are working with the International Postal Union and have their data. They show us that 93% of all the goods ordered over the internet, like Amazon or other apps, are transported by air. So it's a huge impact in terms of this. And all these new players will have a huge impact on how we see the multimodality and how we are building the future of tomorrow. I'll stop for now here, but I will be able to interact with you and to reply to any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Catalin. We know also that ICAO shared recently a very nice publication that regarding everything you said, that we will share with our students after our panel discussion today, together with any other supporting material. I will now continue with Mr. Dalaklis Dimitrios, who is an expert in safety and security. Dimitri?
I would like to thank Catalin for bringing into the discussion the term multimodal. Definitely the future is multimodal. However, I want to introduce a new term. And for that specific term, I want to bring special emphasis on hybrid. And why I will put forward the term hybrid. We are moving forward towards a future that apart from multimodal, we will operate in hybrid modes. So apart from the classical regular manned, if I can use this term, vehicles or vessels, we will also have thin manned with the help of remote control procedures, vessels and vehicles embedded into the transport chain. And at some point of time, now I cannot speculate, but I will expect with the current research efforts that are already underway, it will be quite short. We will have autonomous vessels that will all operate in the same grid. So here we have three elements. What we have seen until today, that the human maintains control, bears liability, and this is why the captain in the Suez Canal, no matter if it was bad weather, in the end, will pay consequences. Thin manned, remote controlled with support from ashore, and I think all these drones or these remote control vessels that can provide tailor-made services and can significantly optimize the whole supply chain. And last but not least, autonomous vessel will all operate in the common operating environment. And I will stop here, wait for the input from the others, and feel free at any point of time to invite me to elaborate further.
Of course, thank you very much, Dimitri. We see that AI has emerged sooner than we all expected, and all these scientific movies don't seem so distant in the future anymore. We already see applications of AI in several hubs, in several airports, for example, in Frankfurt, and so on. I will now continue with the CEO of Geneva Airport to hear out another input from the aviation industry and airport as a hub. Andre?
Hello, thank you very much again for having me here. And let me just start with a factual recognition. Airports, like ports, actually are natural hubs because we are connecting actually different types of traffics, be it car, be it train, and be it aviation. And even we in Geneva, we do also connect normal passenger aviation to business aviation. So we are by definition a hub. But I think what becomes today even more important is actually we should not just connect, we should also influence what we connect. Because today aviation is very much under pressure for climate change issues, for environmental issues. And therefore, we should very much more invest in providing an environment which actually puts forward to go for more climate-friendly approaches. To give you just an example, we have in Switzerland an agreement where we have to define our targets in such matters until 2030. So we will have to have in 2030, 60% of our passengers which come with public transports. We do have in the airport a railway station. We do offer every passenger a free railway ticket for the city area. And we are also providing early buses in the morning for those who leave early. So this is already a target where we have been investing a lot of money into facilitating the move from people away from cars to actually public transport. And we're also developing with the regional and the local public transport organization new connectivity. On the other side, we are also providing a hub towards the aviation. And there we can also play a role as an airport to actually shape the way how we are actually evolving as aviation. For example, we're offering incentives on the airport charges when a company comes with last generation planes, which normally reduce by 40% noise and at least 20% CO2 emissions, we will actually incentivize them by give them a payback on their airport charges. And we have many other projects like that. Like currently we are looking at introducing sustainable aviation fuel to be rolled out and actually incentivize again passengers and also companies. And lastly, we're not only a hub for passengers, we're also a hub for freight. And especially during the crisis, we have seen that this became more and more important because actually it was quite difficult in Europe for some time to get enough medical equipment into the countries. And so an airport has to fulfill that one. So to summarize, I think airports are a very important place to develop hub concepts, and we are very much doing so, not to forget also about what we call mobility based on bicycles, on walking and so on. And we have a very important role to take to actually shape how we are used as a hub in a way that we move towards more climate-friendly transportation means. And finally, clearly we will see also over the coming years more and more the introduction of semi to autonomous transportation modes. I mean, in aviation, it's the discussion of one pilot planes or even zero pilot planes. That might be still very far away. But on the other side, we have a lot of discussions of autonomous cars, or autonomous buses. We have had also some tests here, which will certainly also bring another level of capacity to the challenge of providing more climate-friendly transportation. So here I will stop, and I'm naturally open to continue on those topics.
Thank you very much, Andre. It is indeed worth to say that in Geneva, everything runs so smoothly with regards to transportation from our own experience as well. As you mentioned, you have done a very nice job there. I will continue with Ganesh. Ganesh, what are your thoughts from your extensive experience, and what do you predict for the near future?
First of all, I need to apologize because my internet connection is not very stable. So please forgive me if you can hear me very well. So for us, it's a very interesting time. We are a port with about 13 million passengers and more than 5 million TEUs in terms of cargo. So we offer services both to passengers and cargo. And we have an investment plan of circa 500 million for the next 3 to 5 years. So obviously, when you make an investment so big, you have to take under consideration environmental aspects and how you can handle all this additional volume you're expecting. And we have, for the last 2 years, been conducting several discussions with the neighboring cities. And this is a key problem, in my view, of all big ports like Piraeus, where there is not enough space for both the city and the port to expand. And thus environmental aspects become more and more important. On the other hand, though, being a hub means that any delays in the services will impact the general economic development. And obviously for the southern part of Europe, this is a key issue, and we have to balance that. Currently, we focus on the provision of electricity to ships. This is a huge challenge for us because we have more than 24,000 calls. Let me repeat that, 24,000 ship calls per annum, and almost half of those ships are remaining in the port overnight, and they will have to receive electricity, which according to our calculation is more or less of the same requirements of the whole city. So to provide electricity to the port equal to the city, and this is not something that we can easily do. So we are very keen in discussing with the European Union through the representative bodies to see how we can handle that. And I was very interested in listening to Dimitrios about autonomous ships. In my view, the shipping industry is not as innovative as it should be. And I don't think ports in general are ready for autonomous ships yet, and especially the regulatory environment is not ready. So I would be very interested to hear more on that from Dimitrios and the other colleagues. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that might arise and continue the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input. Well, there is a discussion and a current trend and initiative, as far as I know. Thanassis will discuss further on this. With regards to the initiative of loop ports, that several ports, if I'm not mistaken, about 5 ports for the moment. One of them is ports of Piraeus, the other is Venice port, and countries from Croatia, if I'm not mistaken, participate in initiative that actually it monitors the noise and the environmental footprint from the general activity around the port. Thanassis?
Yeah, so on that, as I said, most Mediterranean ports, being very old ports, are interconnected with the city more than in other cases. This is not a problem that is faced, for instance, in the United States or brand new ports. So we need to put a specific effort to minimize the disruption to the everyday lives of the residents, because we have just meters, we have operations meters away from the residences. And so we monitor the air environment, the noise environment, the impact of the traffic of the city, and hopefully some new, some interesting findings will come up in order to try to cope with them and minimize the disruption, while at the same time supporting economic activities. And I'm carefully using my word. I don't want to use growth, because sometimes in the circular economy, growth is not necessarily a prerequisite. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing some results from that.
What about the challenges faced in the port of Esbjerg in Denmark, Ganesh, according to you?
Yeah, we are very much a port that is part of the energy markets. So a port of Esbjerg, just to put it in perspective, is one of the largest ports in Denmark, but we service the oil and gas and the offshore wind industry. So we are part of, but also have modular traffic in and out of Denmark, with 5 routes to 25 ports in Europe. So we consider, of course, the port as a node in this network, but we consider the network as topocratic, and attractiveness in that network is very much, especially here in Denmark, how green can we be a port this is a decision point in Denmark going forward, which is in Europe and the rest of the world. We heard just later about green ports and airports and the focus of that from EU. But when we then take this attractiveness of the port considered in relation to the network, we had to evaluate the port ecosystem, and we have to design business model where we put a green port forward. So in case we can do something that lowers the carbon footprint, that is given time. We could, here we have already done, so we measure the carbon footprint of the ships. We have a lot of shore power facilities for the ships and so on. That is straightforward here because we have sufficient green power available from the offshore wind industry. When it comes to the more complex things, it was to see how do we, as a port in this network or a complex system, are we able to do something that affect this, so the whole system will be more carbon friendly and be greener. One of the things we were looking at is hyper collaboration. For example, what we're working on now is creating a tri-model simulator. So everybody who brings cargo to the port should be able to go into the simulator. And they say, if I bring cargo, when I bring cargo to the port, have I taken the route where there is the lowest possible footprint? And then based on that, there should be a differentiated fee for using the cargo fee or tariff using in the port. That is one way that we are looking at to change the whole network which we are part of. Another example is the commuting. 7,500 people commute into the port every day. So similar models for hyper collaboration would be sharing the cars, which is a small scale if you share the car into work and have a system for that. But also when we crew change hundreds of people every day from all the vessels in the port to the nearby airport, maybe these companies and maybe the agents should start to arrange flights together, so we have full flights going to the hubs in Europe when it comes to the airports and flying crews to and from the ships in the port. These are things that we are looking at from the port of Esbjerg. So our keyword these days are hybrid collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What are your thoughts, Ganesh, from your extensive experience in the logistics chain, having served as CEO and board member of DP World and all this international activity? What are your thoughts on the current challenges with all these disruptive trends, and how quickly and how efficiently will these new technologies and trends will be actually implemented, and under what effects for the humans? Will they replace these technologies the human, or will they assist? This is also one question.
Wow, and I'll try and answer all those questions. Those are quite a few of them. But you know, I think considering that the audience predominantly is students of your college, I think the focus for the conversation is when you talk about future of transportation, it's very important to differentiate transportation between passenger and freight at a basic level. And then even from a passenger context, you know, there is the solutions that one would look for passenger transportation would also vary when it is between what is urban, what is interstate, and what is intercontinental as such. From the freight perspective, has a similar challenge in terms of what you're looking at transportation, but freight has one added disadvantage, that freight does not have the ability to communicate or take the last step. It still has to be done by the human intervention or any source that you would do, right? To the question specifically in yours, that what is the, you know, ports and airports, what is the role that they play as a hub in the future of transportation? I think that's a question which has been perpetuated and asked time and time again in the past. And over all the years of experience, I think one thing is very clear, as a gentleman earlier to me also responded, saying that there is a fairly significant area of confluence as a port, whether it's a seaport or a marine port. Let's for a moment just call it a port, right? You have the transport operators who are coming in over there. You have the passengers, you have the freight, you have ships, you have everything confluencing around the port facility as such. So I think the future, when you look back historically, the role of these ports in a maritime port has only been focused on loading and discharging cargo. It has been more of a stevedoring facility as such. And if you fast forward to today's age, it's vastly different, right? Not only the equipment that is used to handle this cargo is very different, but also in terms of what is being done with the data that is being collected as that. In my personal view, I think the future of ports is a lot focused on how data is handled and how data is interchanged. What is the hub, as a hub, how are they going to make sure that this data is available across the different platforms, whether it is for a land-based transport industry, or whether it is for the customs, whether it's for the freight forwarder, or whether it's for the warehousing industry as such, or the supply chain industry as such. The data needs to be distributed, and there's got to be a way to ensure that this information is being distributed across to this. So in summary, what I would say is the future of ports is going to be data driven, and the concept of a smart port which is digitally connected to all the other resources is very, very important. Now, the overarching, whether it is passenger or freight, the overarching concept of smart energy, smart energy sources is a requirement. You cannot wish that away. Whether we've gone past the time of saying, will it be or will it not be? We have now come to a stage, it has to be, right? Because everyone recognizes the sustainability and the net zero impact of any action that we take has to be taken into consideration. So the energy aspect of it, whether you're running a port, whether you're running a ship, or an aircraft, everything is going to be focused on the smart energy concept as such. So these are some of the trends that I see, and distinctly, there are several challenges as to whether some of these can be implemented. Yes, they can, but some can be done at different time horizons, as early as 2024, but some of them will take all the way up to 2050 to get to see the light of the day as such.
Very valuable insights. Thank you all for sharing your precious knowledge. Let me ask, did Mr. Ian Egbertsen, Manager of Innovation at Ports of Amsterdam, manage to join us? I guess he didn't fix his internet value. So at this point, I would like to ask our students if they have any questions for our guest speakers. Ankita? No. I want at that point to thank you.
I have a question.
Who? Yes, please.
I have a question. Yeah. Okay.
Is it a general question? Or?
Yeah, it's a general question. Like, hi, my name is Vivek Bist. I'm a student of digital marketing, but I have done bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So my question is I forgot the name, sorry. But the person said that 1/3 of the transportation system is by air. So like, so in future, like it will be going to be like this, that because the ships, their speed are very less, like 20 nautical miles or something. So it's very less, but air transportation system is fast, and it is more good and efficiency based as well. So don't you think that the ships will going to get away, and the ports will going to get away, because now the hyperloop system is also coming. So everything is coming in a fast way, means the transportation should be fast, and ships take time. So what are your takes on that means?
If I may, I think that Vivek was referring to me. The challenge that we have when we are talking about air transport and especially the transport of goods, it's as I said, we need to differentiate between value and volume. We are fast, and the small valuable items are shipped through the airlines, and practically that's why we have right now, as I said, 1/3 of the value of the goods transported at the global level. However, in terms of volumes, I think that vessels and boats represents right now the cheapest way of transportation and mass transportation. It's true that we have now more and more initiatives like the use of the hyperspeed train for cargo only, the hyperloop, and things like that, changing the patterns that we've seen in the past. But I think that instead of having areas totally disappearing, I will see more interconnected way to work together. Look what happened when the hyper speed train, the speed train was built in Europe, and I'm just giving you the example of Paris, Brussels. Practically, there is no airplane flying right now between regulated scheduled flight between Paris and Brussels. So practically, when you book a flight to Paris, to Brussels, and you are passing to Paris, you're going to have on your tickets, on your issued by an airline ticketing office, that will put you in a train when you go down from plane in Paris, and you go directly to Brussels and pick up your luggage there. So it's already integrated. We will go more into the direction where all these elements will be integrated, but I don't see the disparition of specifically of the maritime, because, as I said, is the easiest and cheapest way to transport goods and high volume of goods. And practically, even if it's slow, with all the optimization and the new technology embedded, I think it's one of the best that we have right now to make the supply chain working at the proper level. It's true that we have elements like the recent ship that produce a lot of challenging. But anyway, the idea is I see a more integrated approach, and real data streaming will facilitate a lot this integration at this level. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. It certainly added value. And before I close today's panel, I would like to address all of you, our guest speakers, but especially Catalin and Andre, on what are your thoughts for the IATA, the so-called travel pass?
Shall I commence?
Yes, please.
Okay, I think we will need some way of commonly defining things like if you have been tested, if you have been vaccinated. I mean, for those who don't recall it, if you go today to certain countries in Africa, you still have to have your yellow vaccination passport in paper to show actually that you have been vaccinated against yellow fever. So this is not totally new. But I think we will want to move to a more electronic system. And it's clear that there are different initiatives going. What one should not underestimate here, we are getting very much into the realm of national regulatory force. And so you might not have heard it, but the EU Commission has actually announced a green pass, which is yet another initiative. So from our industry, we're looking forward to such an initiative, because it will also allow to much more easily integrate all those checks we have to do, and which are quite prone to falsification, through a commonly accepted and secured mechanism, which will allow people to show that they have been either vaccinated or tested negatively, in a way that it is very easy to check that. and to assure that they are valid to board a plane or actually to check in. Now, whether this is going to be the IATA initiative, there are at least 10 or 20 initiatives going around, or any other, I must admit, at the end, what we would like to see is that all countries choose the same, or at least regionally choose the same. And as I said, in Europe, this is still very much a national discussion, and which will make the process a little bit more complicated.
Can I add something at this point? It's very interesting to see that we are now moving on what I call a very thin line between what is free movement of people and all these restrictions that, of course, we have to take care because of the COVID situation. But this can also serve as something that we should prepare ourselves for the future. And I don't want to be pessimistic, but probably this will not be a large global scale crisis issue that we are facing now. And potentially there will be other related contemporary problems of this one. So it's a first-class opportunity for us to get prepared. We can see even from how the pandemic started, even this incident in the Suez Canal, that tiny incidents in the beginning now, maybe because of the evolution of technology and of transportation and everything, they are becoming into real global scale nightmare events. So we are actually living in a transformation era of improvising all the mechanisms that they should be around in order to assist us in tackling these issues. And on the other hand, we are not yet know what we should expect with the current industrial revolution, and we're now entering the sustainable revolution, but I don't think we're ready 100%. So we're experiencing a world that we live currently under the paradigm of what is going to happen. So let's use all this in a constructive way and build some internal and external knowledge so that we can respond successfully to all these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kyriakos. Very valuable your comment. It is indeed true that all this necessity to adapt with sustainability goals didn't start from out of the blue. We all know why. We all know that this pandemic is not going to be the last, because these pandemics, they start mainly because the way we are living, okay? So as the trend is that the human population is going to grow more and more over the next years, in parallel, the resources, the available resources will not be adequate with the existing models that we have now with regards to transportation, with regards to working, with education and all related sectors. So it is vital, and this is why it is in any discussion, all these things that each sector, each nation can do in a national but also international level to be ready when the next crisis comes. So at this point, I would like to thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And to have been a very significant panel discussion also for our students, with whom we will share also any extra material via newsletter. So until our next Cafe Scientifique, that is going to be on creativity and leadership, 7th of May, I wish to all of you have a nice evening and weekend ahead.
Stay well and stay healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye from Brazil.
Bye.